My boyfriend of 2 years is reverting back to college life. My 28F boyfriend 30M is obsessed with climbing/bouldering. He plans almost his entire life around it. He's very good at it and has even become semi-sponsored. He gets discounted gear through the sponsorship, not money. We met through climbing about 4 years ago when we were both already in relationships and became friends. While I've known him, he has become more and more committed to the lifestyle. He sold his car to fund a climbing trip. He was halfway through an engineering degree and dropped out because it was getting in the way of competitions. His other real-life friends have all moved on in various ways, so most of his friends are just as obsessed with climbing as he is. He still had other hobbies and a stable income until we relocated. I work for the government, woo, and was offered a promotion if I moved out west. My boyfriend was thrilled and really supportive. We decided to take the risk, accept the position and move in together. The new position required a lot of changes. I'm on call most weekends, so my days of super competitive climbing are cut back. I get hair tested, so no more fun drug times. Some days I have to travel to different work sites, so I won't get home until after midnight. Overall, the job has been great though. It's laid back and fun and the benefits are phenomenal. I'm really happy I made the jump. However, my boyfriend has gone the total opposite. Back home he had a 40-hour week job with benefits. Out here, one of his climbing buddies got him a job at a sandwich shop working lunch shift. He explained it would be temporary while he searched for something better. 6 months later, he's still there with no interest in leaving. Why? Because it works great with his climbing schedule and all his co-workers climb. In his defense, he lives the absolute bare-bones lifestyle. No car, no insurance, minimum possessions. He can get by on very little, which is financially responsible for his income, but he also has no savings. Any extra money goes towards climbing gear, granola, and travel money, gas, flights, bus tickets, to attend competitions. Don't get me wrong, I'm still a competitive climber and do well at it, but I really just want to have fun and meet people. My boyfriend used to be pretty relaxed about it as well, but since the bar is so much higher out here, he's thrown himself into getting better. The other climbing bros love it and they all feed off one another. And let me just say, most of those guys suck. They are almost all single, one wears a wedding band with climbing inscribed on it, broke and shameless. Like musicians, but less cool. Last time I hung out there, one of the guys told me I should buy the drinks since I make the big money. When he's not climbing with the dudes, he's watching the same climbing videos online, reading climbing forums, researching new gear or compulsively checking scores on climbing results. I feel like all we ever talk or do anymore is climbing related and I am getting so frustrated. I've talked about making plans to do other things but he won't commit because he's waiting to hear about climbing. No car means you're tied to the guy driving out. I even tried to plan a trip to NYC for his birthday, but he says he doesn't know if he can go until he figures out whether he has enough points to attend a world's-level climbing competition in August. And then, even though I'm on birth control, I get pregnant. He's supportive in small ways, but is reluctant to cancel a climbing date to go to the gestational ultrasound. When we talk about options, he says he doesn't think we're in the right place. I've never given much thought to having children, but feel this little heartache at his answer. He thinks I'd be a great mom. He wants to have kids someday, just not now. I talk to my parents and friends and decide to terminate. He comes to the procedure and the doctor tells us I couldn't have kept it anyway. My boyfriend is visibly relieved. Now his tone is we had no choice. We couldn't have had it anyway. He's moved on, but I'm still pretty sad about it. Reddit, I want to talk to him about all of these feelings. We're really growing apart. While I still find him attractive, I don't want to have sex anymore. I'm afraid I'll become pregnant again and since nothing in his situation is changing, he'll still choose climbing. He's become the people we used to joke about. The people who live in a van or a tent at the prime climbing spots and eat, sleep, breathe climbing. On one hand, I'm glad he's happy out here, but on the other, I've found myself having a harder time relating to him. It feels like something we used to have in common has become really divisive. My parents are furious as he spoke to them before we left about being committed to building a future together and they don't understand why he's backsliding. For that matter, I don't either. I told him last month that I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but I thought his lifestyle was pretty disappointing. He said he would look for different work, but hasn't even tried. In the climbing mansion, an old house with 6 climbing dudes living in it, near us, a room is opening up. I'm seriously considering asking him to move out and live with his buddies. However, the other night he told me he was really happy with us and wanted to discuss the future. I'm so confused. I love him and want to support him, but his lack of ambition is such a huge turn-off. How can he even bring up the future when the only goals he has are all centered around some crazy sport that could easily end if he hurt himself? How do I talk to him about this without hitting below the belt? I want to do it soon because he asked one of my close friends about ring shopping. Good sweet lord, I don't want to get engaged right now. Help! Update. I didn't think people would care that much about an update, but I keep getting private messages asking what happened. I've gotten more messages than responses on my post. Apparently a lot of us have dated climbers. For the sake of ending the story, here's how things went after our post. Work had slowed down a lot, and while I was still putting in overtime here and there, I wasn't really traveling to work sites. We were spending more time together, and I felt like one night in particular was a good time to bring up the subject. The conversation went, okay. I told him I was frustrated that he keeps talking about finding a new job, but never follows through. I brought him 2 different work flyers that I thought would be right up his alley. One was for climbing up cellular reception towers, come on. Even I think that sounds intriguing. And the other was for an engineering assistant. He basically said that he knows there is no future at his current work, but it pays enough for him to get by and he's having fun. Well, I told him I understood, but I was thinking that maybe we should stop living together. This turned into an argument about chores, money and, the big one, what we wanted out of the future. He reiterated that he wants kids, marriage, and that he loves me very much, but he doesn't want to do those things right now. I asked him what would happen if I got pregnant again, and he said that was very unlikely. When I told him I felt that he had made climbing his #1 priority, he balked and said I was exaggerating. I threw open the closet door and pulled out all the camping equipment he bought before we came out here, all still with tags attached. Unless I've used it. He hasn't come on those trips because he's been climbing. This is hundreds of dollars of gear untouched over an 8-month period. I pointed out his dusty mountain bike. He said he doesn't have a car. What about the frisbee golf bag that is in our storage container? He hasn't had time. At this point, I just started crying. These were all activities we used to really enjoy and do together. I just feel like an idiot. I tell him I understand where he's at in his life and I want him to be happy, but I'm going to start looking for another apartment. We have a little over a month left on our lease, so at the end we can part ways amicably. He looks completely devastated. All he says back is if that's what you want. I found an apartment and will be moving out in a week. Things have been cordial enough. We share a studio and he keeps the bed, while I sleep in the closet on a camping cot. Hey! It finally got some use. He's moving into the climbing house, temporarily, he says. My parents are worried that I'm falling apart, but I feel okay. Sad, but okay. I still really care about him, but I've realized almost all of the stress in my life was coming from the energy I was putting into our relationship. Maybe it'll sink in when we finally do split ways? So there you have it.